Boy, what you say, boy? Ooh. What's up, guys? It's your girl Molly, and I'm back with another video. Okay, so first of all, before we get started talking about what this video is about, as you can already see in the description, it's how to relate with your in-laws. First thing is, I really want to give a big shout out to my 1,040 subscribers who have subscribed to my channel. I want to shout out to all the people that have made a comment on my videos which I've already made. If you haven't watched them, please go watch them and leave a comment. I am very interactive with those who do leave a comment, so I really want to say a big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for leaving a comment on my page. I am very grateful for you. So the other thing is we're going to talk about today is how to relate with your in-laws. So a little bit of backstory about me. I actually have 5 in-laws. Siblings obviously have married. So I have my brother and his wife, and then I have my sister, older sister with her husband, and then the one after me and her husband, and then Victoria and CLC. Shout out to the SV Squad, by the way, all the subscribers of the SV Squad, and to my brother-in-law and sister Victoria. Go subscribe to them if you haven't come from them. I support them 100%. So anyway, back to the story. I have my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my brother, 4 in-laws. And so the question that was, how this topic came about was that somebody, an anonymous person I'm not going to mention, wrote me a message to ask a question about, or told me a little bit of a backstory about a scenario of her and her in-law, or their in-law, I should probably say. I'm not sure which one. Yeah, anyway, the in-law is what you get. You get what I mean. And so the background story was asking about how could she, better communicate, because obviously, their sibling is now married and has children, and how does she relate? I just want to make a disclaimer here. I am going to speak very general. Please, if you are, I am not a counsellor. Do not take my word as, the Bible, because I'm not a counsellor. But from my experience, I am going to share with my experience of how I would deal with it, and how I think you should relate with your in-laws. So it's purely based on the experience that I have for in-laws and how I make sure that I relate with them. So I probably would firstly make this clear is that when you have siblings and when you grow up with them, you come to a point of time where when you come to the point of marriage and even have in-laws, as siblings, you have got to accept that your sibling, whether they be older or younger, that they are at a new chapter in their life. And that means that things are definitely going to be different. What you guys used to do before, you cannot expect that it will still continue. So what do I mean? So let me use this example, is that I have, I have in-laws and my sisters. I'm very close with my sisters. They are all married. One thing that has changed from when we were young is that their obviously bedroom with their spouse, it's no longer a thing where we go and hang out in their bedroom, like as compared to when we were younger. We used to hang out in each other's bedrooms, share each other's stuff, and just go and lie in their bed whenever hoo-ha. Obviously that doesn't happen now, because they have a spouse. They've come to that level of maturity, where they have their own space. So it brings me back to that point of saying that you've got to accept that when your sibling has now got a significant other, that you've got to expect that there will be changes, and changes is always a hard thing to go through. No change is no change. No one likes change. That's the honest truth. No one likes change. It's the same way of when you need to change when you go on a diet and you're trying to get healthy and you're trying to lose weight, and the steps that you have to go through to get to that goal is something that, you know, it's not comfortable. But that's why it is, you know, said that when you're at your most uncomfortable place, you are the most effective to come to that goal. So anyway, I'm talking about I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna bring myself back to the topic of what we're talking about, is how to relate with your in-laws. So you first have to make sure that you come to that understanding of accepting the new chapter that your sibling is at. Now, let's go into to answer the question of this anonymous person that said, well, you know, the person that my sibling married is a totally, completely, you know, wicked person, and is the problem. Let's just say that's the, you know, that's what they're saying, is that there is a problem. And how do you relate with that when they are the problem? They've come into the family and they've caused all this havoc. I'm not going to advocate, I want to make this very clear, I'm not going to advocate for those that are really mean, because I know that there are people out there that are just purely wicked. I'm not advocating, what I'm about to say is not advocating for those type of people. What I will say is that we all have a perception. You have a perception about something. You think about things differently to how your in-laws, you know, were brought up. So how we were brought up is very different to how, you know, my in-laws were brought up. And what happens is that when you come to a point where when iron needs to be sharpened, if anyone knows this, when iron needs to be sharpened, it can only be sharpened by, you know, rubbing against each other. So when I say is that when you're going through that, I don't know what you say, that change with trying to adapt and trying to accept and trying to understand the significant other, is for you not to be so controlling. So the significant other, or the in-law, how do I say this? Let me say this properly. You should not be a controlling freak. And that means that the in-law does not need to do things exactly the way that you and your family do things. You've got to make room. That's why the Bible says, I'm going to refer back to the Bible. For those of you that don't know, I'm a Christian, and I'm going to say it loud and I've lost my train of thought. Isn't that funny? Is that you have got to accept that you got to accept the person that has come into your family. No change is a good change, but oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. This is so annoying. I was saying something about, the Bible says, nope, it's gone. Fly away, doesn't matter, come back to me. So what I was saying is that you have got to stop being controlling. Okay, so let's just say you're not controlling. Like, nah, Molly, it's not me. It's totally he or she. It's them that has come and ruined the relationship between my sibling and I. And now I love my nieces and my nephews. They've got children. And now it's interfering with how I can relate to my nieces and nephew. So let me make this clear, is that what is your agenda? Okay, so in life you've got to prioritize things. So what's the priority? What's your priority? What does it mean more to you? Does it mean more to you to have your nieces and nephews in your life? Does it mean more to you to have that relation with your brother-in-law, to have a relationship with your sibling, whether it be your brother or your sister, and to get along, because there can't be two chiefs, okay? Now, if we were all meant to be made to be chiefs, honey, this world will probably, be killing ourselves. There has got to come to a point where one must humble, and if you really love, because you see, love is there is a love language, and there is a love that is called the agape love. The agape love is a God kind of love. A God kind of love is forgiving people even when, they've done you wrong, is understanding them, is seeing no wrong and continuing to move forward. So what am I saying? I'm saying is, what is the point of you calling out the wrongs and there is hang on, let's get this straight. There is a way of how you can address things if you need to address things, okay? I don't know if I'm making sense, but I really hope that I am. If you have an issue with your in-law, which I have, I'm going to say there was an experience where I had, in fact, I actually have, I have had, weird situations, and then I've had weird things that I've just had to bite my tongue and let it fly away, and just let it go. Why? Because it means more to me that I keep the relationship with my sibling, or that particular sibling, than me trying to make that message clear at that point of time. It does not mean that that I've lost the battle, or that I haven't got my message across, but there is a time and there is a place for things to be said and done, okay? So the thing is that what means more to you? Does it mean more to you to have that relationship with your nephew and your nieces? Then if it does, then honey, you're gonna have to sacrifice some things, okay? Because you ain't no Hail Mary. Like, people ain't gonna come fall in front of you and be like, oh yes, all hail you, because you are I'm married to your brother, or I'm married to your sister, and you're the king or you're the queen. No, you're not, honey, okay? So I'm not having a go at you. I'm saying you need to get yourself into check, because we're all not perfect. And sometimes where you may say something, that could have been the beginning root of how things went. But for your sake, let's just say it wasn't. Maybe you're just this perfect person that, you're just humble, and, this person is just, irritation. I'm going to say, because I'm a very bold person, I'm going to speak on behalf of those bold sisters that, that maybe it's your brother that's married that girl that's very outspoken. Now, if you have a sister-in-law that's very outspoken, like me, you've also got to understand their kind of character. I'm a kind of person that always wants to see good. And I'm going to admit that sometimes my passion to want to see good for, an in-law or a sibling, can come across very intimidating. To me, I don't mind confrontation, but for people that are built like introverts, they don't like loud noises. They don't like confrontation so much. That's not their kind of thing. Their thing is, quiet, invert. I like peace. I just like to keep peace. I don't like to, so it means more to them to have peace than for them to change something. So if you have an outspoken sister-in-law or a brother-in-law, how you best communicate with them is actually building a relationship. So it means there are going to be things that you're going to hear, and there are things that you're going to dislike. There are going to be things that you guys have to come to a point where you guys agree to disagree. Did you get that? Agree to disagree. So that means you and I, you know, if I said that, hey, I'm just going to use an example, that my phone is white, but you're saying no, you see pink. That's your perspective. You've seen pink. Obviously, I know that my phone's not white and it's, you know, there's pink in there. But let's just use this example. I'm saying my phone's white, you're saying my phone's pink. So there's no point of you arguing, you know, well, I think it's white if it's between you and I. You know, we're just gonna have to say, okay, well, you know what, doesn't matter. To keep this relationship, first of all, is it worth losing a relationship over the color of what we're arguing? That's the other thing, is that you've got to think, what is the point of us arguing over this thing? Is it worth it? Is it? Really? Is it? You know, and if 9 times out of 10 people could ask themselves that, is it worth fighting for this thing? If the answer is yes, then the next question I would ask you is that the best way for you to be fighting for that thing? Is that the best way for you to get your message across? I don't know. You know, I mean, if you come at me and be like, man, that's pink, I'm gonna shoot your head off, I'm gonna be like, okay, girl, you're just crazy and you need to get the hell out of my face. Of course, you're gonna get a reaction like that. You know, I'm a big believer. My favorite book says that, you know, a calming, peaceful voice stirs anger away. It stirs anger away. You know, if you come with a low spoken voice, you're gonna settle on that matter for sure. So, I mean, I'm saying all these things. I'm asking you questions because there is no right answer, and I'm trying to speak on a majority of people rather than a specific situation. I'm trying to help a whole lot of people, which is why I'm speaking very general and asking a lot of questions, and questions in the sense of that I have had experience with I've had an experience with my sister-in-law where I have seen, you know, that I haven't seen eye to eye. And she may not think so. She's probably watching this video and being like, what the heck, what's she talking about? But I work very hard. Like, I have learned that she's not built like me. She's very different. She has, you know, great attributes that I don't. I have great attributes that she doesn't. She's been brought up a different way. I've been brought up a different way. My brother-in-laws have been brought up a different way than I have. I have different relationships with each in-law that I have. You know, how I relate with, you know, the SV squad, Siosi is different to how I relate with my other sister's man, how I relate with my other sisters, my older sister's husband, how I relate with my sister-in-law. So my main goal is that I keep that same relationship with my, that I keep a relationship with my siblings, as well as keeping a relationship with my in-laws. I'm going to leave you with this last thing, is that you've got to ask yourself what it means more to you. If it means more to you to keep a relationship with your siblings, and for the time being that you have to humble yourself in certain you know, conversations, that does not mean you're weak. That does not mean, you know, anything that you can't stand up to them and that they're going to come and control your family. Because you see, if it's a wicked person will always expose themselves. There will come a time where they will expose themselves, and it's a matter of time that it comes out. So you have just got to know what it is that you want out of that relationship. Anyway, I only wanted to talk for a very short time in this video, so I really hope that I have helped one of you, or some of you, well, at least one of you, in this advice, or in this talking with, about how to relate. I'm going to do another video that I'm enjoy. please go and subscribe to my channel, share the video, comment down below, and leave comments on what you'd like for me to do for my next video, and make sure you like it. All right, guys, signing out. See you next time. Bye for now.